Foluke pounded the yam. She kept pounding and pounding and pounding and would not stop, even when the palace cook came in to tell her that it was okay. And then, after a while, she felt dizzy and collapsed. Foluke was exhilarated the moment her flight landed at the airport. She felt like screaming to show how excited she was, but she restrained herself, knowing she was in a public place and that the airport was not the place to act in an undignified manner. For most of her adult life, Foluke had always wanted to visit Nigeria. She had heard so much about the country, browsed about it, followed online content that discussed Nigerian people and culture, and even followed many popular content creators from Nigeria. But all of this did not feel like the real thing to Foluke. She always wanted to be in Nigeria physically and experience everything live and firsthand. And now, it is a reality, all thanks to Chinelo, her best friend turned sister. Foluke gave Chinelo a tight hug. "Thank you for being a true friend and someone my parents could trust to let me travel here with," Foluke said to Chinelo, still hugging her. Foluke is Nigerian by blood, but had never been to Nigeria before now. Many years ago, Foluke's biological mother moved to the United States of America after being invited by her white friend, Caris. Before then, Foluke's mother was in love with a young man named Kola. However, Kola's parents did not like Foluke's mother and fought against their relationship. Kola had sworn and promised his fiancée that his parents would not come between them because he loved her so much. However, months later, Foluke's mother found out that Kola, her supposed fiancé who claimed to love her and swore he would never leave her, was getting married to another woman. She discovered this on the very day of the wedding. In Kola's words, "I am so sorry, but I cannot go against my parents," he said to Foluke's mother, who was already heartbroken by the discovery. This broke Foluke's mother and affected her deeply. It also impacted her job. Before then, Foluke's mother had traveled to the United States of America for a work-related workshop representing the company she worked for at that time. That was where she met Caris and had connected with her. They became good friends even after Foluke's mother returned to Nigeria at the end of the workshop. So, when Caris learned of Foluke's broken relationship and how badly it affected her, she invited Foluke's mother to the US for a fresh start. However, Foluke's mother discovered that she was pregnant with Foluke when she arrived in the US. Caris was a good friend and supported Foluke's mother even up to the time of Foluke's birth. Unfortunately, tragedy struck 3 years later when Foluke's mother died of cancer, leukemia, a cancer of the blood. Caris took care of Foluke as her own. Even when she got married, her husband Jaden also adopted and treated Foluke as if she were their own. Foluke grew up calling Caris mom and Jaden dad, but she always knew that they were not her biological parents because Caris told her everything. Before Foluke's mother passed on, she begged Caris not to allow Foluke to go to Nigeria for any reason. And that is why, despite how much Foluke pleaded over the years for permission to visit Nigeria when she started developing an interest in the country, Caris would not allow her to, choosing to honor her late friend's request. Chinelo is a girl from eastern Nigeria who studied at a university in the United States. Foluke also attended the same university. That was where they met and became close friends. They bonded and their friendship grew over the years to that of sisterhood. Foluke was of Yoruba origin but was raised in the US by American nationals. Chinelo, of Igbo origin, had also studied in the US and had been there for some time. Although Chinelo had a university education in the US and had lived there for a while, she was well familiar and acquainted with the traditions and cultures of Nigeria, especially those of the Igbo, because she grew up in Nigeria and still visited occasionally. She would always tell Foluke beautiful and interesting stories about Nigeria. After several years of asking and with Chinelo's promise that she would look after Foluke, Caris finally allowed Foluke to visit Nigeria. We can't refuse her forever. She is an adult and is maturing into a full-grown woman. If we continue to refuse her, she might just revolt against us one day. Jaden said to Caris, convincing her that it was not such a bad idea for Foluke to want to visit her country of origin. And so, that was why Foluke was so happy when their flight finally landed at Murtala International Airport. After claiming their luggage, Foluke and Chinelo were proceeding to the arrival area to board the taxi they had ordered when they saw a very popular man named Prince Chimezie, who had also just arrived from a journey and was being picked up by his chauffeur. Prince Chimezie is the prince of a wealthy and large kingdom in the east called Amanke Kingdom. Apart from reading about the kingdom and its prince on the internet, Foluke was fortunate to have also received first-hand information about the kingdom and some of its remarkable sights and attractions because Chinelo is also from Amanke Kingdom. As a matter of fact, when they planned their vacation back in the US, they decided that they were going to stay in Lagos for only 3 days and would spend the remainder of their entire vacation in Amanke Kingdom. Still in the flush of excitement that had been building since they landed, Foluke waved at Prince Chimezie, who was about to get into his car, having recognized who he was. Prince Chimezie smiled and waved back at her. Now, that would not have meant much because he's an important figure whom people greet and wave at all the time, and he usually reciprocates the gesture by smiling and waving back. But when Prince Chimezie ordered his chauffeur to pull up in front of them, offering to give them a lift, Chinelo was blown away. "Hello, we can drop you off wherever you're going, as long as it is within Lagos State," Prince Chimezie said to Foluke and Chinelo as he pulled up in front of them. "Okay, my prince," Chinelo responded immediately, unable to contain her joy. She jumped into the back seat of the car, sitting close to Prince Chimezie and leaving Foluke to sit at the front seat with the driver. The chauffeur put their luggage in the car and then they zoomed off. Now, on their way to their destination, Prince Chimezie's attention was solely on Foluke, even though she was seated in the front and he was behind. He kept speaking with her the whole time and asked her questions to get to know her better. Chinelo tried to steal the conversation and kept interrupting at intervals, but Prince Chimezie responded to her with only few words. From what was happening, it was obvious that Prince Chimezie was interested in Foluke, and that was probably the reason he offered them the lifts. When Foluke and Chinelo arrived at their destination, Prince Chimezie gave Foluke his business card and requested that she call him once she got a local number, as she had mentioned she would. Then, his car zoomed off to his own destination. That evening, Chinelo picked the business card, copied Prince Chimezie's mobile number to her own phone, and called him to offer her thanks without even mentioning a word about it to Foluke. 3 days later, Foluke and Chinelo arrived at Amanke Kingdom as planned. Chinelo had discarded the business card after copying Prince Chimezie's mobile number to her phone and making Foluke to think that she had misplaced it herself when she could not find it. So, when they got to Amanke Kingdom, Foluke begged and insisted that Chinelo takes her to the palace to see Prince Chimezie so she could thank him for giving them the lift and apologize for losing his business card. However, Chinelo told her that for anyone to see Prince Chimezie or any other members of the royals, such person would have to book an appointment and get a confirmation first. But Foluke did not want to seem ungrateful or be perceived as someone who does not have respect and honor for the kindness and privilege Prince Chimezie had shown to her. So, she insisted. At least, let me get there and be refused entry. Then, I will know I made an attempt instead of doing nothing, she said to Chinelo. Chinelo had no choice but to take her to the palace. And contrary to what Chinelo had said and the picture she had painted, Prince Chimezie was delighted to see Foluke, and his parents, the king and queen, also received her warmly. Foluke thanked Prince Chimezie for the lift and apologized for losing his card and not calling to thank him sooner. Prince Chimezie said it was no issue, especially since she had visited him. Foluke and Chinelo were invited to have dinner with the royal family, and from that day, Prince Chimezie and Foluke became friends. It took her sightseeing to places she had only heard of and read about. Well, not just her, but Chinelo as well, because Chinelo never left Foluke's side. At night, they talked for long hours. This went on for weeks, and soon, they were unable to hide the obvious affection that had developed between them. They confessed their feelings to each other one day and decided to start dating. Prince Chimezie was so in love with Foluke that he felt like marrying her as soon as possible and making her his wife. But because Caris and Jaden, Foluke's foster parents, were not in Nigeria and were far away, he chose to wait until they traveled back to the US to get Caris and Jaden's blessings and approval, as it was the appropriate thing to do. Before they could travel to formally make their intention to get married known to her foster parents, Foluke decided to inform them about it via phone call. She spoke excitedly to Caris, her foster mother, about how she was so in love with Prince Chimezie and how he felt the same way about her. However, Caris raised her concerns about Foluke's relationship with Prince Chimezie, reminding her of her mother's story. Even your late mother, who was fully Nigerian and familiar with your cultures and traditions, your runaway father's family never accepted her and got your father to leave her. So, I am worried for you, my dear, because you did not grow up in Nigeria and are not familiar with their customs. I have heard that royals in Nigeria do not joke with their customs and tradition. They require their princes and kings to marry locals who are well acquainted with these customs and traditions. You don't even know how to prepare their local meals, which is also considered important. So, I am afraid that even if the prince loves you as much as you say he does, his family and people might not accept you. And the last thing I want is for you to experience what your late mother went through. I owe your late mother that, Caris said to Foluke, expressing her fears and concerns. This put Foluke in a dilemma. She knew that the concerns her foster mother raised were valid, but she was already so much in love with Prince Chimezie that she could not bring herself to think about losing him. She shared these concerns with Chinelo, who agreed with everything Foluke's foster mother had said. In fact, Chinelo even intensified Foluke's fear by telling similar stories and how such relationships did not end well, creating more anxiety about the situation. Now, Chinelo had always admired Prince Chimezie because he was handsome, wealthy, a prince and a heir to the throne of a great kingdom, and a man of affluence. She had once daydreamed and imagined them getting married. He was a Prince Charming in a fairy tale fantasy world. And that was why she was so excited when he had offered them a lift at the airport, and why she jumped into the back seat next to him. Although he was the prince of the kingdom she came from, she had never had the opportunity to be in close proximity to him, let alone sit so close and engage in conversation. She had hoped and thought that he was interested in her, but from what she saw that day, it was clear that his interest was in Foluke. This broke Chinelo's heart, who was secretly displeased and felt angry that the prince of her village, the one she had been crushing on for almost all her adult life, preferred her friend Foluke, who isn't even an Igbo girl. "I know what to do," Foluke said suddenly in the middle of their discussion. "I love Prince Chimezie, and you know that all my life I have always wanted to visit Nigeria and get acquainted with the customs and traditions here. So, I have decided to start by learning how to prepare traditional Nigerian dishes, Igbo traditional dishes to begin with. So, I will convince him and his parents that I am open to adjust and willing to learn. I know that there are various tutorials on the internet where I can learn how to cook these dishes, but I am convinced that I will learn faster and will do it better if you teach me. So please teach me, my friend," Foluke pleaded with Chinelo. Chinelo agreed. "Anything to help, my dear," she said. And so, Foluke informed Prince Chimezie and his mother, the queen, that she wanted the honor of preparing various local Igbo Nigerian dishes for them in the coming days because she had been learning how to make them. Prince Chimezie and the queen told her that she need not bother, but Foluke insisted and begged them to allow her. To make her happy, they obliged her. Now, the first dish Foluke decided to prepare is a common soup in Igbo known as bitterleaf soup. The two major ingredients for this soup is yam or cocoyam flour and of course the bitterleaf vegetable. Chinelo, whom she had asked to teach her, however, gave her the wrong recipe and procedure to prepare the soup. "Take this," Chinelo said, handing over a small polythene bag containing a powdery substance to Foluke. "This is the yam flour you would need to prepare the soup. The palace cook and maids will try to give you another flour or a fresh yam or cocoyam to use as the thickener for the soup. But do not use whatever they give to you, as it would not give you the best results. Insist on using the one you brought. As a matter of fact, tell them to leave you alone in the kitchen and that you do not need the maid's help. Else, when the soup turns out well, they would not believe you prepare it all by yourself and would say that it is the maids who helped you," Chinelo said to Foluke. Foluke thanked her and headed to the palace to prepare the soup, unaware that what Chinelo had given her was the wrong type of yam flour. The flour is the one used to prepare the popular amala of the Yoruba people, and this flour is processed in a different way, suitable for only the amala and its unique taste, and not as a thickener for bitterleaf soup. She also asked Foluke not to wash or squeeze the bitterleaf, but to just put it unwashed and whole in the soup. Foluke tried to protest that from the few videos she had seen on the internet, that the bitterleaf is usually squeezed and washed a bit, but Chinelo asked her to ignore that. "Do not mind all those internet chefs. The proper and traditional way to prepare a bitterleaf soup is to leave it unwashed and not squeezed it at all. Put the whole leaf directly as I have told you, and remember that you must put a large amount of the bitterleaf," Chinelo added. And so, when Foluke was done preparing the meal and served it to the royal family, they could not eat it because it was so bitter. Foluke felt bad, but Prince Chimezie told her not to feel bad and told her that it would not make them change how they feel about her because they love her and understands that she is not used to preparing such meals. Another day, Foluke decided to prepare boiled white rice and the local ofe akwu stew. Ofe akwu is made from fresh palm nuts. The Igbo man, especially Igbo royals, is not like the Yoruba man who loves to have much pepper and chilies in their meal. Therefore, you must not add any pepper at all or any form of chili powder in the stew. And for the boiled rice, a traditional Igbo man does not eat foreign processed rice. He eats the local Nigerian ofada rice. But when the ofada rice is not available, they would provide you with the common foreign processed rice, and that is a test. So, for you to pass the test, you must sprinkle some little amount of cocoa powder in the rice whilst cooking it, Chinelo said, and handed to Foluke a tiny tin containing some cocoa powder. Foluke, still oblivious of Chinelo's plan to sabotage her efforts, did as Chinelo asked. The rice tasted so bitter and the ofe akwu stew was bland as Foluke added no pepper at all. Yet again, Prince Chimezie and his parents were not angry with her, but they tried to dissuade her from continuing with her desire to cook their local dishes. But Foluke would not listen. "Please give me the chance to keep trying," she said. 3 more times, Foluke attempted to prepare more different local dishes, and every time it was bad because Chinelo kept giving her the wrong recipes and telling her to do the wrong things. Foluke never suspected what it was Chinelo was doing. Rather, she believed that it was her who was not preparing the dishes well. Then one day, Foluke decided to pound yam because of what Chinelo told her. In Chinelo's words, "A real Igbo man would not accept all this processed pando yam. If you want to win his heart, you must pound his yam manually. You must pound and keep pounding the yam for a long time for it to be ready," Chinelo said. And so, Foluke asked the maid in the palace to give her a mortar and a pestle to pound the yam with. Chimezie and his parents were not even around on this day. They had gone for a traditional gathering ceremony where a traditional ruler in another kingdom is being coronated. Else, Prince Chimezie would not have allowed Foluke to pound the yam. Foluke pounded the yam. She kept pounding and would not stop, even when the palace cook came in to tell her that it was okay. And then, after a while, she felt dizzy and collapsed because she was not used to such physical exertion. The palace cook and a guard rushed her to the hospital. When Prince Chimezie returned and visited her in the hospital, he was not happy to learn that Foluke got herself in the hospital because she was trying to pound yam for them. "Now, this have got to stop. I can't allow you to continue doing this," Prince Chimezie said in anger. But it was from a place of worry, as he got so worried and concerned for Foluke when he heard she collapsed and was rushed to the hospital because she was pounding yam. Foluke opened up that she was scared that his family would not accept her because she is not acquainted with their customs and tradition, and that was why she was putting in the efforts. She told him the story of her late mother and the reason why her foster parents are concerned. "I appreciate that you are putting in the effort because you love me and want to learn how to make our local dishes. But you can't do it in a rush. It is a gradual process. Besides, I would not put you on pressure as I am fully aware that you are not brought up here. Moreover, it is your soul I love, and that comes first and is paramount before anything," Prince Chimezie told her. "Yes, my son is right. We love you, and we are knowledgeable enough to know that stereotyping people based on where they had come from or what they do not know because they haven't had the opportunity to learn such thing is wrong and inhumane. Our family would not do that to you, said Prince Chimezie's mother, the queen, who had also followed her son to the hospital and had been standing beside Foluke's bed. And since you are willing and interested in learning how to prepare our local dishes, I will personally teach you myself when you become my son's wife and move into the palace with us, the queen added. And so, when Foluke was well and okay, they traveled to the US and were able to convince Foluke's foster parents to give their approval and blessings. Prince Chimezie and Foluke got married, and as she promised, the queen mother taught Foluke how to prepare many local dishes. She did so with love, and with time, Foluke could prepare many local dishes so well. And so, Chinelo's plan to make Foluke appear unworthy failed. Now that Foluke was able to prepare the dishes, she realized that Chinelo had intentionally given her bad recipes and procedures. She could not understand why Chinelo did this. However, she decided not to confront her about it, but to distance herself from Chinelo, knowing that a true friend and sister would not behave as Chinelo had. The end. I hope you enjoyed the story and that you have learned something from it. I would love to know. Please drop your comments. Thank you for listening and see you in my next video. Bye.